As someone who works in recruitment and specializes in the idea of helping candidates prepare for interviews, and obviously a lot on this channel, I talk a lot about job interview prep and things to look out for, etc., etc. I thought I would talk a little bit about my own story today, about a time where I went in for a job interview and it completely did not go to plan. So, what was the issue? Well, let's paint the picture a little bit. So, I am still in university, still working casually, looking for my first full-time job. Now, obviously, when I was trying to find a full-time job, I had an idea of where I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to specialize in mainly recruitment, but I was also open to the idea of, internal recruitment, doing HR, talent acquisition, even sales jobs if they were available and they were attractive to me with good career progression. I would have done things along these lines. But anyways, I had come across this HR assistant position and I thought, you know what, I'm going to apply for it. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I first hear back from the company and they say we need you to answer a couple of online questions, like a one-way interview essentially. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll do it, not a problem. Answered the questions, sent it through. Mind you, I did not hear back from this company after about a month. So I'd sent in the information, and about a month later, they got back to me and said, we are happy to confirm we can progress with you for a face to face interview. I was like, okay, amazing. Anyways, about a day before the interview, I receive another email, and the email says, "Can you please make sure that you're wearing a black tie, button up, don't turn up any later than 15 minutes prior, and anything earlier as well is unnecessary." So I was like, okay, sounds reasonable, sounds fair enough. I rock up to the interview. The interview I remember was for 3 o'clock. Okay, I rocked up to the interview at about I rocked up to the building at about 2:40 because like the building was ages away from my house, so I didn't want to run the risk with getting there late or anything. But anyways, I got to the ground floor of the building. I didn't check in or anything at about this point, so it was about 2:40. Anyways, there's a couple of people just sitting there around the floor as well. And I thought, okay, it's fair enough, whatever. Anyways, it comes a couple more minutes and more people are coming. Okay, and I'm like, all right, this is interesting. There's a lot of people here. Not sure what the issue is, but yeah, a lot of people here. Maybe they're just passing by. I don't know. Anyways, at 2:45, there is a group of people that just will leave the elevator. Okay, so the elevator comes down to our level. About 5 or 6 people just walk out. Okay, again, I didn't think too much of it because I thought, look, it's a big building. Obviously, people could be working, living there. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could have happened. So a lot of people walking out of this building. Okay. Anyways, I then decide to go up on the elevator. So does everybody else. Okay. I go up the elevator. We are all getting off at the same floor. We are all getting off at the same building. We are all there for the same interview. Okay. This was at 2:45, mind you. All right. So there's about 5 or 6 of us here for the interview. Okay. We're checking in. We have to do these face scans. We have to do all these different things. The best part was that was at 2:45 or 2:50. Anyways, by 3 o'clock, another 15 people had shown up. There was genuinely about 20 to 25 people for this job interview. Okay, it was a group interview. And yeah, so I'm preparing for this interview thinking, okay, this is a great shot for me to potentially get my first full time job. And now I'm suddenly competing against 24 other people for the same position. Okay, so obviously for me, I'm feeling a little bit, I'm a little bit annoyed first and foremost, but I'm also a little bit stressed. Anyways, there was a few people around me that were very angry about the situation. I think a lot of people were very emotional as well. I remember one girl was just tearing up and stuff like that. I felt really bad, but again, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We've all got a job to do. We've all got this interview. Everyone's in competitive mode. Let's get into it, okay? So we get into this room, all right? Now, mind you, this room, okay, it was like a conference room, all right? So there was about maybe 7 or 8 seats around the table, okay? There's 25 of us or 20 of us, all right? What they then did was they added in a bunch of other seats, and it was like stacking, like rows, like you're at a concert. Okay, so you got this one conference table with a group of with a bunch of chairs around it, and then chairs behind that, and then behind that, okay? And so now you've got this room where you've got 25 people there just sitting there uncomfortably next to each other in this really tight conference room. And everyone now is thinking, what's next? Okay, what do we do? All right. The CEO comes in. He talks a little bit about the company, whatever. And he says, I want you guys to go around the room and tell me in 45 seconds who you are and why you want this job. Okay, so everyone does it. That genuinely took about 40 minutes, by the way. He then says, thank you guys. Whoever progresses to the next round, we'll let you know in good time. So, obviously, I'm angry. I'm angry, of course. Everybody's pretty pissed off. Everyone's angry. Some people are just quite frustrated. I think a lot of people were looking at this job interview as a potential opportunity to start a new life, to start a new chapter, etc., etc. And then when you go in there and you realize you're a 1 out of 25 chance of even progressing to the next round, it's brutal and it does something to you, you know? So anyways, how did I actually overcome this specific problem in this situation? Look, at the end of the day, guys, in a situation like this, it is typical fight or flight, okay? You are either going to feel very comfortable or very uncomfortable. You're either going to feel very frustrated or very motivated, okay? You need to understand, you need to firstly understand, is this what you want, okay? Now, there is a difference between what you need and what you want, okay? So you need to be thinking very carefully before you even start the interview, okay? Is the job truly what you want, okay? Is this environment what you want to be in? Is this the type of company you want to work for? That can't specify whether it is a group interview or not. These little things you need to be thinking about before you even start, okay? Secondly, you need to understand what are the hidden lessons that they may be trying to portray with this type of scenario. You know, did they just do this for fun? Was there with a deeper lesson in place? I think there was. I think obviously, you know, with HR, you're working with people. People can be extreme. You can be faced with a very extreme situation. I have a feeling that they just threw us all in that deep end to see how we would emotionally react. Because at the end of the day, in HR, you are a human resource. So would it make sense to be a human resource if you get flustered by being in a situation as well? At the end of the day, in HR, you are meant to be solving the conflicts. You are meant to be the peace. You are meant to be the safe space. So maybe they did that to see, you know, how we would be in this situation where we are purely thrown in the deep end. You know, I think it was testing as well our communication, our presentation, how well we physically present, how well we can demonstrate something in 45 seconds, demonstrate our value. Do I think it was the most productive way to do it? Absolutely not. Okay. But from their angle, you've got to be thinking about what are they looking for? What are the hidden things here that they should be testing? And how can you rise to that? You know, these are things that you need to be looking at. And these are things that I was trying to do on the spot. Did I think I answered the question as best as possible? I think I did well. I ultimately just don't think I had the appropriate experience. I think some people went overtime too with their own answers. And I think that, you know, kind of cost me as well, because again, at the end of the day, if they're getting more time to talk, they're obviously going to, you know, explain their value a lot more. Whereas I think after the first few people did it, they started cutting off people a lot clearer and a lot quicker. And I was one of those people as well. So yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think I had the necessary experience. I don't think I was the most experienced out of the people in the room. I was definitely one of the youngest as well. So that was the other part, is that, you know, if they're going to take a gamble on me, you know, would they want to take a gamble on me with no actual experience, or would they rather take a gamble on somebody who's a little bit more experienced in the industry? Things along these lines, you know. But yes, so what was the actual outcome here? So look, I didn't progress to the next round. I know a lot of people were leaving the building quite flustered as well. And what was the lessons here? Well, look, at the end of the day, first and foremost, the lessons that I would be definitely trying to give to you guys here, and I would be saying to candidates in general, and I would be emphasizing to businesses as well that I work with, is to be very, very clear in your interview process, okay? Be very clear with your emails, all right? The only thing I could go back and look at in the emails that they were sending to us was that if you are a girl for the interview, wear this. If you are a guy in the interview, wear that, okay? That was the only indication that I felt, there could have been a group interview here, okay? Other than that, there was no indication that would say that this was a group interview. Okay, that was genuinely my first red flag. I think, look, I understand from a business perspective why you want to throw people in the deep end, that sink or swim, fight or flight mindset, and see how they go. I understand that mindset, but you do need to understand from a professional standpoint as well. You are going to throw a lot of people off. Okay, businesses will throw a lot of potential candidates off by throwing them in a situation that they didn't know what was being presented to them before they were even actually hired by them. Okay, so that was one thing. Was that from a business perspective, to be really thinking about, be very clear to the candidate what they're going into and how to prepare for it. And I think as well that relates back to you guys as the candidate. You guys need to be thinking very carefully about, is this the type of company you want to be working for? Is this the company that you want to be working for, in the sense that, they're not even going to be telling you if it's a group interview or not. Okay. Secondly, be very clear in your value. Okay, so in these 45 seconds, I think what I did and a lot of other people did was just talk about who they are and a little bit about themselves, okay, and their interests and stuff like that. In that 45-second window, you need to now be as clear as possible. Okay, you need to be clear as possible with the value that you have brought, with the value that you have at your current company, and how you are going to bring that to the next company. Okay, you need to understand as well is that this type of situation, a lot of the training that you would be doing for an interview, like the answering of questions and things like that, a lot of that just may get thrown out the window. Okay, you need to be focusing more on the deeper, philosophical ways that you approach these interviews. What's your theory, what's your philosophy, how do you approach these things carefully, smartly. Okay, so you need to take that step back and not worry specifically about how you answer, but worry about your behavioral approach here. Are you cool, calm, and collected? Are you somebody who's going to be overwhelmed before you even walk into the room? Are you going to be frustrated? Can you control your emotions? Are you able to still talk in the best environment, in the best way possible, in as tough of an environment as possible? Are you confident to explain your value in a group of 30 strangers? All of these things you need to be measuring before you go into the interview. And then as you walk in, being able to execute that perfectly, which is why the specifics of how you answer is not necessarily relevant. It's the way that you approach it that's going to help you in a situation like this. Okay? I hope you guys got some value from this video and this story. Make sure as well, when you are going in for these interviews, confirm whether it is a one-to-one interview, 1-to-3 interview, group interview, whatever it is. Just ensure that you understand the specifics beforehand. Ask the appropriate questions. The other red flag as well I could think about was that there was no actual screening call. So every communication that I had with the company was just via email. I never actually got to physically speak with somebody, whether that was over the phone or in person, before my interview. Okay, so make sure you are developing personalized relationships before you go into the interview, so you are of an absolute understanding of what you're getting yourself into. Okay, I hope you guys got some value from this video. If you guys enjoyed and you do want to work with me on a one-to-one level, click the link below for a free consultation. Happy to organize a 30-minute chat to work out your goals and how we can work together moving forward. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care. See you guys next time.